Most people believe they're in control of their lives. They think they're in the driver's seat. But then, one harsh word from a coworker, a condescending glance from a stranger, or an unexpected financial loss, suddenly, everything inside them is thrown off balance. And I'm not saying this as criticism. I'm saying it because I've been there. There's a small group of people out there who seem untouchable. They walk through chaos with steady eyes and a calm voice. I used to think it was an inborn gift until I started studying Stoicism, and I realized this isn't luck. It's a skill anyone can learn. I've spent over a decade studying, testing, and applying these principles in real life, not in the comfort of a book, but in high-pressure boardrooms, heated debates, and some of my most difficult personal moments. And I've seen the difference, not just in myself, but in the people I've coached, from fresh graduates to seasoned entrepreneurs. Have you ever felt this? You wake up in the morning promising yourself you'll stay calm, that you'll respond more gently, but by midday, one text, one phone call, or one unexpected situation is enough to pull you right back into the same old cycle: anger, stress, regret. I want you to imagine this. You walk into a high-pressure room, people are arguing, information is flying, everyone's tense, but you don't get pulled into it. You listen, you observe, and when you finally speak, everyone stops to hear you. Not because you're the loudest voice, but because you're clear, calm, and certain. That's the power of mastering yourself, and I'm going to show you how to do it through 6 Stoic pillars, simple yet powerful principles that have stood strong for over 2,000 years. If you apply them in just 30 days, you'll notice a real change. You'll react less impulsively, make better decisions, and find peace even when life stays challenging. Pillar 1, master your mouth. I want you to pause for a second and think about this. How many times in your life have you said something and immediately wished you could take it back? Maybe it was during an argument with someone you love. Maybe it was in an important business meeting, or even while debating with a stranger online. One sentence, just one, can change the way people see you. Words are small, but their power is massive. They can build trust or destroy your reputation in seconds. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "No one regrets keeping silent, but many regret speaking too much." And he was right. Have you noticed that the people we respect the most are rarely the ones who talk the most? They're usually the ones who speak less, but every word carries weight. They understand this truth. Words are weapons, and the wise only draw them when necessary. Imagine this. You're in a meeting, and a coworker says something that really gets under your skin. Your first instinct is to snap back, to defend yourself, to set the record straight so no one underestimates you. But instead, you take a deep breath. You count silently 1, 2, 3, and you choose silence. You let their words pass over you like wind across a still lake. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but minutes later, you realize you just avoided a pointless confrontation. And that is strength. The Stoics had a simple but powerful habit, the 3-question rule before speaking. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it useful? Is it kind? If the answer to any of these is no, consider keeping it to yourself. It sounds simple, but this is a form of mental pause, a tool that shifts you from emotional reaction to intentional action. You see, the modern world rewards quick reactions, but Stoicism teaches that speed isn't always power. Sometimes, strength comes from slowing down. In fact, there's psychological research showing that when you create even a 1-3-second pause before speaking, your brain shifts from emotional mode to rational mode. That tiny gap doesn't just help you say something wiser, it makes others see you as more thoughtful and trustworthy. I once worked with a young manager, talented, ambitious, but stuck in his career for one reason: he reacted too quickly and often said things in anger that hurt people. We started practicing the 3-question rule and that moment of pause. At first, he hated it. It felt like losing if he didn't respond right away. But after 2 months, people began to notice the change. He was calmer, more measured. And here's the surprising part. People respected him more than ever. And here's what I want you to remember. Controlling your words doesn't mean staying silent forever. It means you speak less, but every word you do say carries real weight. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your words be like gold coins, so precious that you don't spend them carelessly." When you treat every sentence like a gold coin, you start weighing it carefully before you spend it. So next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: you don't have to answer right away. You don't owe anyone an impulsive reaction. And sometimes, silence is the strongest reply you can give. If you start training yourself in just this one pillar, master your mouth, you'll notice other areas of your life shifting too. Your emotions stabilize, your relationships become less tense, and people naturally find you more magnetic. That's the domino effect of self-control. Pillar 2, master your mood. Have you ever had your whole day ruined by something small? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or your boss sent an email with a tone that rubbed you the wrong way. In that moment, it feels like the whole world is against you. But if you stop and think, you realize the real problem isn't what happened, it's how you interpreted it. The Stoics believed that emotions are not facts, they're just our interpretations of the facts. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you that disturbs you, but how you interpret it." The same situation can make two people react in completely different ways because they're telling themselves two completely different stories in their heads. Imagine you're walking down the street and someone bumps into you without apologizing. If you think, "What a rude jerk," you'll feel irritated. But if you think, "Maybe he's rushing his kid to the hospital," you'll feel relief. Same event, différentes perspectives, completely different emotional outcome. This is the gap between stimulus and response, one of the most important concepts that both Stoicism and modern psychology agree on. That gap is where your power lies. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is always a space. For people who haven't trained it, that space is almost zero. But those who have learned control turn that space into a control room, choosing their response instead of reacting on autopilot. I remember the first time I truly applied this in a big meeting. A colleague publicly challenged my idea in front of everyone. Normally, I would have jumped in immediately, voice raised, sharper words. But that day, I paused. I took a breath and told myself, "Don't let emotion run the show. Choose your response. Don't just react." I smiled, thanked him for the feedback, and said I'd respond later. After the meeting, several people came up and said they were impressed by how calm I stayed. That's when I realized sometimes the way you keep your cool is more persuasive than any argument you could make. So how do you get better at this? The Stoics had a powerful tool, evening reflection. Each night before bed, take 5-10 minutes to review your day. Ask yourself, where did I let my emotions take the wheel today? Could I have chosen a different response? Next time, what will I do differently? It sounds simple, but it's like lifting weights for your mind. Every night, you hold up a mirror to your thoughts. And every day, you get just a little more aware of your emotions before they take over. Modern science backs this up. Research on metacognition, the ability to be aware of your own thoughts, shows that simply observing your feelings without judgment strengthens the brain's emotional regulation center. In other words, you're literally building the mental muscles of patience and calm. And remember, controlling emotions doesn't mean suppressing or denying them. It means feeling them without letting them run the show. It's like holding the reins of a horse. You're not pulling so hard, it hurts. But you're not letting go, so it bolts out of control either. Next time something makes you want to explode, try this. Acknowledge your feeling, I'm angry. Create a pause. And then ask yourself, will reacting this way actually get me the result I want? If the answer is no, choose silence or choose a different response entirely. When you master your mood, you don't just protect your inner peace, you become the person others turn to when they need a steady presence. And when you combine this with the first pillar, controlling your words, you'll find yourself stepping into a completely new level of self-mastery. Pillar 3. Master your money. Money isn't everything. But let's be honest. In today's world, money quietly influences almost every choice you make. It affects where you live, what you eat, where you travel, and, yes, even how much freedom you feel. But here's the twist. It's not how much you make that determines that freedom. It's how you manage what you have. The Stoics never condemned wealth. They only warned, if you don't master your money, your money will master you. Seneca, one of the wealthiest Stoics in history, once said, "The wealthy man is not the one who has much, but the one who needs little." He wasn't telling you to give up everything. He was reminding you that real freedom begins when you stop living in fear of losing what you have. I've seen so many people fall into the same trap. Their income rises, but so does their stress. Why? Because they raise their lifestyle faster than their paycheck. They chase the things that look like success, instead of the things that actually bring value. Every month turns into a race to cover bills. Picture this. 2 friends, both making $5,000 a month. One spends $4,500 and invests the rest. The other spends $5,500 thanks to credit cards. They live in the same city, drive the same type of car, eat at the same restaurants, but one sleeps peacefully at night, and one doesn't. Which side do you want to be on? To master your money, Stoicism teaches 3 things: spending discipline, not cutting all joy, but spending with intention, not impulse. Clear goals, knowing exactly what your money is working toward. Freedom from comparison, not letting Instagram or your neighbor's life decide what you need to be happy. One of my favorite exercises is delayed spending. When you want to buy something non-essential, wait 72 hours. If it still feels necessary after 3 days and aligns with your goals, buy it. If not, you've just saved money and avoided emotional spending. I once coached a client who swore she couldn't save because her income was too low. We tracked her spending for 30 days and found that over 20% went to things she didn't even remember buying. That's the power of awareness, a classic Stoic principle. Know what you're doing and why. And here's the truth. Money is a tool, not a trophy. Treat it as a way to build the life you want, not as a scoreboard of your worth. When you reach that point, You'll understand why Stoics saw financial mastery as part of spiritual freedom. Underscore pillar 4. Master your time. There's one truth we all know, but almost no one lives by. Time is the only asset that once lost, you can never get back. You can make more money, rebuild a house, even recover your health, but a day gone is gone forever. The Stoics, especially Seneca, were blunt about this. It's not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it. And if you really stop to look around, you'll see just how frighteningly true that is. Picture holding an hourglass. Every grain of sand that falls is a second of your life. None of us knows how many grains are left. Some people have millions, others just a few thousand. But no one knows the number. The question is, how will you spend the sand you have? The trap I see most often, especially in younger people, is the belief that there's plenty of time, so they spend hours on things that bring them no closer to their goals. An hour mindlessly scrolling. 3 hours binge-watching shows they'll forget tomorrow. Weeks passing with no real progress. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself each morning, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. You don't know how much time you have, and that awareness should create urgency in your actions. One rule I teach is the 80-20th time rule. Identify the 20% of activities that bring 80% of your results and prioritize those. This takes honesty. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now actually important? Or is it just disguised procrastination? I once worked with a young entrepreneur who swore he had no time to exercise or learn new skills. We tracked his week and found nearly 15 hours spent on random YouTube videos. We didn't have to overhaul his life. We just cut that in half. And suddenly he had 8 hours a week to invest in his health and growth. The Stoics also stressed the importance of protecting your golden hours, the time of day when you're most alert, creative, and focused. For some, it's early morning. For others, late at night. Whatever yours is, guard it. Don't waste it on email, social media, or trivial tasks. Here's the question I want you to ask yourself daily. If today were my last day, would I be using my time this way? If the answer is no, it's time to change something. Mastering your time doesn't mean working non-stop. It means living with intention. Sometimes the best use of time is an afternoon with family or an hour lost in a great book. But whether you're working or resting, know why you're doing it. Because every minute you spend is a piece of your life you're giving away. Spend it well. Pillar 5. Master your environment. Have you ever noticed your mood changes just because you're in a different room or surrounded by a different group of people? That's no accident. Your environment is a silent teacher. It's constantly shaping the way you live, whether you realize it or not. The Stoics understood that you can't grow flowers in poisoned soil. You can't expect yourself to be calm, focused, and disciplined if your surroundings are constantly pulling you in the opposite direction. And this isn't just about your physical space, your desk, your apartment, your city. It's also about your mental space, the people you spend time with, the information you consume daily, and the energy you allow around you. I remember a season in my life when I lived in an apartment whose only window faced the brick wall of the building next door. Hardly any natural light came in. It always felt dim, heavy. I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I moved to a place flooded with sunlight and plants. My energy, my creativity, it all came back. That's how deeply environment seeps into you. But environment isn't just physical, it's people. If you surround yourself with those who constantly complain, gossip, or drag you down, it's almost impossible to sustain positive energy. You've probably heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." It may sound cliché, but it's surprisingly accurate. Ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius sought quiet spaces and wise companions to keep themselves aligned with their principles. In our modern world, that might mean choosing friends who lift you up, joining communities that share your values, or at the very least, limiting time spent in places and with people that drain you. So, how do you master your environment? First, your physical space. Keep the place where you work and live clean, uncluttered, and intentional. Stoics believe that outer order reflects inner order. Every morning before starting work, clear your desk and reset your space. It's not just housekeeping, it's a ritual that tells your mind, we're ready for the day. Next, your information space. What you listen to, read, and watch each day is food for your mind. If you constantly feed it negative news, online drama, or pointless arguments, don't be surprised if you feel anxious and unfocused. Instead, choose carefully, read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos that make you a better version of yourself. Finally, your social environment. You don't have to cut off every negative person. Sometimes they're family, co-workers, or old friends. But you can control the frequency and nature of your interactions. Spend more time with people who inspire and support you, and less with those who drain your energy. The interesting thing is, when you change your environment, you don't just change yourself, you create a ripple effect. People will start to notice. They'll ask, "Why are you so calm and positive lately?" And sometimes your shift will inspire theirs. The Stoics knew that mastering your environment isn't about hiding from the world. It's about preparing yourself to face it stronger. When your surroundings support your focus, peace, and discipline, you won't have to fight so hard to stay on track. Instead, you naturally drift into a better rhythm every day. Remember, you are the gatekeeper of your life. Whatever you allow in objects, information, people will determine the quality of the life you live. Pillar 6. Master your mind. All the pillars before this, your words, your emotions, your money, your time, your environment lead to one central point, your mind. If you cannot master your mind, everything else is just a temporary fix. The Stoics believed that the mind is your final fortress, a place no one can enter unless you open the gates. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But mastering your mind isn't just about thinking positive. It's about being able to observe your thoughts without being ruled by them. It's like standing on the bank of a river. Watching leaves float by. Each leaf is a thought. You don't have to jump in to chase one, and you don't have to grab and hold on to another. Here's a simple practice. The next time you feel anxious or angry, ask yourself, is this thought an absolute truth, or just my interpretation of the event? Most of the time, you'll realize it's just a story you've told yourself, and you have the power to rewrite it. One of Stoicism's most powerful tools is the space between stimulus and response. When something happens, a criticism, bad news, a setback, you have the power to choose your reaction. That space may only be a second long, but it changes everything. If you use that second to breathe, assess, and choose a deliberate response. You'll find yourself far less at the mercy of impulsive emotions. Mastering your mind also means cleaning up the stream of thoughts you allow to flow through your day. Some people do this through meditation, others through journaling, and some through deep conversations with a trusted friend. Personally, I recommend the practice of evening reflection before bed. Take a few minutes to review your day, how you responded, what you learned, and what you want to improve tomorrow. Modern science has confirmed what the Stoics knew thousands of years ago. The mind can be trained like a muscle. What you practice regularly becomes habit. If you train yourself in calmness, focus, and self-examination, these qualities will become your default setting. If you constantly indulge in impulsive reactions, negativity, and comparison, those too will become your default. The beauty is, you don't need perfection to start. Simply noticing when your mind drifts into negativity and gently guiding it back is already mastery in motion. This isn't a one-time achievement, it's a lifelong journey. And here's what I want you to remember. When you master your mind, you don't just live better on calm, ordinary days. You remain steady when the storms come. The world may be chaotic, but inside you there is a quiet place no one can touch. When you bring all 6 pillars together, your words, your emotions, your money, your time, your environment, and your mind, you're not just living better, you're building an unshakable foundation to lead your own life. And as the Stoics remind us, true freedom doesn't come from controlling the world, it comes from controlling yourself. And here's the encouraging truth about self-mastery. You don't have to start with everything at once. Focus on just one pillar, and you'll be surprised at how the others begin to shift and strengthen along with it. They call it the ripple effect. It's like dropping a single pebble into a still pond. The rings of water stretch far beyond the point where it landed. I've seen it happen countless times, but Sarah's story is the one I'll never forget. When we first met, Sarah was smart, energetic, but scattered. She would lose her temper over small things, spend money to soothe her emotions, and say yes to things she didn't want to do, just to please others. Every weekend, she felt drained, and worst of all, she believed she couldn't change. We didn't start with a plan to overhaul her entire life. I simply said, pick one pillar, and do it well. Sarah chose Pillar 1, master your mouth. At first, it seemed small, but she began practicing the 3-second pause before speaking, asking herself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Within weeks, she was arguing less. Her relationships felt lighter, and almost without realizing it, her emotions began to stabilize. That was Pillar 2, master your mood, quietly taking root. When she no longer had to constantly apologize for impulsive words, she felt calmer, more confident. That calm spilled over into her financial decisions. Pillar 3, she stopped shopping to escape her feelings, and her savings began to grow. With her money more stable, Sarah started focusing on Pillar 4, master your time. She organized her schedule around what truly mattered, instead of being swept up in other people's demands. Better time management led her to Pillar 5, master your environment. She reduced contact with toxic relationships, rearranged her workspace, and cut back on social media. And finally, almost inevitably, she arrived at Pillar 6, master your mind. Sarah realized that peace didn't depend on the world changing, it depended on how she chose to respond. She stopped being tossed around by every wave of life. It all began with one small step, mastering her words. But as each ripple spread, the other pillars began to strengthen on their own. That's why I always tell my students, the goal isn't to be perfect overnight, it's to be intentional in every choice. Every time you choose calm over anger, silence over an argument, focus over distraction, you're sending yourself a powerful message. I am in control of my life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Once you understand that, your decision becomes clearer. So, if you're hearing my voice right now, don't try to tackle all 6 pillars at once. Pick one, just one, and start today. Like Sarah, you'll see the ripples spread, and one day, you'll look back and realize, I didn't change through some massive revolution, I changed through small choices, repeated daily. You see, Epictetus once said, "No one can upset you without your permission." That's not just a philosophy, it's a challenge, a reminder that control over your emotions, your thoughts, and your reactions has always been yours, not the world's, and not anyone else's. So here's what I want you to do. Choose just one pillar from the 6 we've discussed, whether it's mastering your words, managing your time, or guarding your peace of mind, and commit to it for 30 days, every day. Ask yourself today, who or what did I allow to control me? If I could do it again, how would I respond differently? After 30 days, come back to this video and share your story in the comments. It doesn't matter if you nailed it perfectly or only made small progress, because each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory over your old self. And if you're wondering, can I really do this? Remember, you're not walking alone. We're building a community of people learning to master themselves. Live with awareness and refuse to be controlled by circumstances. Every comment you leave, every story you share could inspire someone else, someone who may need to hear exactly what you've just experienced. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep walking this journey together. In the next video, I'll go deeper into one specific pillar step by step and share even more real-life examples you can use immediately. You won't want to miss it. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one pillar, live it for 30 days, and share your results. Because philosophy only becomes real power in your life when you act on it.